Hi everyone, welcome. I'm so glad that you're all here, and I'm looking forward to today's webinar, which is STEMSEAS Opportunities for Undergraduates to Experience Science at Sea. But before I turn it over, I do want to go over some of the things that we need to know about for the NAGT webinar series. So I'm Ashley, my pronouns are they, them, and I am the NAGT support person for today. And we also have our NAGT webinar series, which you are all present at right now. And this is a one-stop shop for increasing our community's capacity in Earth education. So the webinars in the series feature novel and innovative works such as Earth education, Earth education research and pedagogy, new teaching materials, and the classroom experiences of professionals just like you. And the NAGT series is free and open to the public. We get lots of questions. Is it okay to invite so-and-so or so-and-so? Yes, please invite your colleagues. We'd love to have them. And throughout the webinar, please use the chat box as a place for discussion and questions, comments. Additionally, feel free to use the reactions tab. Otherwise, in terms of interacting with each other in this shared space, we do still follow the NAGT Code of Conduct, which expects and endorses a professional and respectful atmosphere and values diversity and creating an inclusive, supportive, and collaborative environment. I'll drop a link to that in the chat in case anyone wants to review it on their own time. But otherwise, we can go ahead and get started. Before I turn it over to Sharon and Lisa, I'm going to, excuse me, that is not what I wanted to do. I'm going to start a poll for everyone to fill out. So let me go ahead. Oh, it looks like you all started filling it out already. Wonderful. Fabulous. I'll just give you a few more moments to complete that, and Sharon and Lisa will get started.
Yeah, as soon as we let's see the results of the poll that help us see who we're talking to.
Yes, there we go. Thank you, everyone. We got, can you see it? Okay, fabulous.
Okay, so it looks like more than half the people have not heard of STEMSEAS, so that's awesome. Talk to some new people. A lot of students. Most people have not gone out to sea before, and most people have not talked to somebody who has gone on STEMSEAS, so that's good. Yeah, new faces. Okay, great. So I'm going to share my screen. And hope that everybody can see this. Everybody see the presentation? Okay, great. Awesome. So while I have it in presentation mode, I can't see chatting and stuff, so somebody interrupt me if something important is happening. So my name is Sharon Cooper. I am one of the PIs for the STEMSEAS program, and Lisa White is also with me. She's going to also be sharing this presentation. I am just a brief introduction. I am based at Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory at Columbia University. And we've been running the STEMSEAS program for about 10 years. So very excited to share it with you. Lisa, do you want to just say a brief introduction here?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Also delighted that you are here with us on this webinar, and we're excited to share quite a bit about STEMSEAS. And I'm one of the co-PIs on the STEMSEAS program, and I'm at the University of California Museum of Paleontology, where I'm the education director.
Great. And then we did originally have a third presenter with us, Alondra. She unfortunately is sick today, so we're going to have to manage without her, but hopefully I'll be able to hear from her another time. So I will go ahead. And what we're going to do is we're going to pause about halfway through for questions, and then we'll also have time for more questions at the end. So, what is STEMSEAS? And since a lot of you have not heard of it before today, this is exciting to be able to share it with new people. So, what STEMSEAS is a program that takes advantage of underused capacity on our U.S. academic fleet. Those are the research vessels that are operated by our U.S. Research universities. And the idea is to provide undergraduate students with high impact at sea science experiences. So what we do is we sail both declared geoscience majors and non-majors with mentors on 5 to 10-day ship transit. So that is, we take advantage of the opportunities where the ship is in between science expeditions and moving from one place to another. So the ship's already going and there's extra berths on board because it's not a big already planned out science expedition. It's just moving the ship. And so we create a little science expedition and we bring undergrads on board. And what we're doing is we're trying to increase the number of meaningful shipboard experiences for undergraduate students. So as you might already know, it's hard for undergrads to get on board a research vessel. There's not a lot of opportunities. So we're trying to increase that opportunity base, that places where you can get on board. And so you get a chance to see what it's all about, see what the skills are, see what kind of careers there are. And if you're a non-STEM person, to get a sense for what STEM is and how you could integrate it into what you do. For example, if let's say you think of yourself as an artist or a writer and you want to learn more about STEM topics so that you can do art and writing about those topics. So we're looking at all of those different types of people. So because we have been running the program since 2016, we do have some data on how it has been working for people over time. So just a really brief look at the data. We think we've been quite successful in getting diversity in lots of different kinds of dimensions for the cohorts that have come on board. So in gender, in academic stage, in how people self-identify, and in the types of universities that they go to versus, community college versus four-year schools and that kind of thing. So across all those different measures, we have lots of different types of folks. And then also we ask students to tell us about their comfort level with knowledge of geosciences and their knowledge of careers. And as you can see in this graph here on the right, so the number of students who strongly agree that their level of knowledge of geoscience went up and that their understanding of types of careers has gone up quite a bit. And we ask other questions too, but these questions over time have had the most statistical significance in going up and having a really strong response. So we're very excited about that. Also, we have asked people about the impact of the program on their careers and the influence of the program on their career and how it's helped them. And that also has gone up quite a bit over time. And these are participants over 5 years. So they can see what the impact has been over time on their own individual trajectories within the fields that they've chosen. So it's great to see how it has that kind of impact. And then the benefit of the program in terms of several different measures. So becoming a mentor themselves, learning scientific skills, mentoring, knowledge, networking, that kind of thing. This is, I know, a complicated chart, but the important thing to kind of look at over here is what I think is most exciting is over here on the right of the chart, building self-confidence. You can see that dark green bar, it goes way, way up. And so the program really helps people with their self-confidence. And it's not just in science, but across a lot of pieces of their lives. And so this really helps them with wherever they're going next. The self-confidence building is a super exciting result to see because it really has helped students to build that in their lives. And then, of course, learning about career possibilities, networking and knowledge and all that also helps people in the directions that they might want to go in. So best practices that we have developed over time. We have a couple different ways of looking at this in terms of process view. So serendipity and synergy. So we have reached out to the science community and said, hey, we're doing a transit from point A to point B. What data can we get for you? What can we get while we're going on our way? So let's add some, some value added along the way. The ship is more or less empty. So it doesn't, as I mentioned, it doesn't have a science party on board. We're bringing a science party on board. We're managing that. So, hey, what can we do? What the data that we collect from this ship along this transit, what can we do for you? So we're trying to create additional opportunities to add value to what we're doing in terms of science and the science community as a whole. And that every time we're collecting data, that's also adding experience for students. So now you're not just involved in a little expedition that we're creating for you, but also involvement in something that's bigger. So this is somebody's ongoing science project and they say, hey, you could collect a little bit of extra data on this transit, then that's adding to that. And then you're a part of it. So that's been a real win-win for everybody. And sometimes it leads to future opportunities to be involved with those science folks or that data, going forward into the future. Trust and transformation. So we're always very careful to guard the mission of the ship operation. So we use these transits. We know that the primary goal of the transit is moving the ship from point A to point B. And our being on board there with students and mentors is an added thing. And so we're very careful to be sensitive to that. That has led to really good relationships with the ship operators over time. We grow our mentor pool by scaffolding. So we have mentors at different levels. So we have sort of senior scientists who are the main mentors for our groups of students, 8 to 12 students on every expedition. And then we also have a graduate student who sails as a near peer mentor on every expedition. And so the senior scientists are helping the near peer mentor to learn more about mentoring. And then the near peer mentor, who's a graduate student, is learning about being a mentor for undergraduate students. And then our hope is that over time, those graduate students then become senior mentors. And that has happened a few times already through our years of doing this. And it's really exciting to see the undergraduate students graduate, become grad students. Now they can become a grad student mentor. The grad student mentor can move up and become a senior mentor and a sort of chief scientist of the expedition. So that is our goal, to keep that rolling. And then ship to shore power. So that is making geology tangible. So, you're out on the water, you're collecting data about the water column, you're collecting data from the seafloor, you're collecting meteorological data, all that kind of stuff. And then we try to do field trips when we get to the end port, sometimes the beginning port. We try to do at least one field trip that's on land before or after being on the ship to help students to make connections with what they saw in the ocean with what they can see on land. So that's another thing that we've been doing over time. So that's our process view. And then our people view, we've tried to put together cohorts that have a whole range of different kinds of backgrounds. So what this means is sometimes, so we'll sail maybe an undergraduate geoscience champion. That's somebody who's already committed, who's maybe a senior, who's getting ready to go into grad school, and they
Oh, Sharon, somehow you're muted.
Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry, I don't know how that happened. Okay, so sort of an undergrad student who is farther along in their geoscience journey, a graduate student, as I mentioned, to serve as a near peer mentor. A STEM sort of outsider just means like somebody who maybe is going to have their main goal, their main place where they're going outside of STEM directly, but so art, journalism, English, but that they can integrate STEM themes into what they do. And so, as I mentioned with that before, so those folks are really important to have on board as well. And then they also are really good usually at communicating and making art and blog entries and all kinds of things that are about what they're doing. So those students are great to have as well. We engage the crew, so we're not just talking to ourselves. We also want to talk to everybody who's running the ship. What are they doing? What's their journey? How did they get there? Things that they want to share. This is a really important thing that we do as well. And then program reflection, so making sure that there's time woven into the programming where students can sit and think and express themselves in different ways about what they're learning and doing. So, trying to advance my slide. Okay, hold on. It's not advancing. Oh, now it is. Okay, so these are, can you see this list of institutions? Yeah, so this is just an example of some of the institutions where our students have come from. And again, this is not everybody, this is not comprehensive, but just to give you a sense of the range of different kinds of places that students come from. And you can apply from anywhere in the United States. But we are definitely trying to get students to come from places that they might not have this opportunity otherwise. So we sail community college students, we sail students from smaller types of institutions, from state institutions, all different kinds of places all across the country. And then these are just some examples of the mentor institutions. And same thing, like we want them to come from a whole range of types of institutions as well. So we make an effort to grow our mentor pools all the time into the same types of institutions that our students might come from, to also have our mentors coming from there. And I hear I'm going to pause for questions so far, and then I'm going to turn it over to Lisa. So are there any questions we can answer at this point?
Yeah, if people either want to place questions in the chat, or I can scroll the participants, see if there are any hands raised. And we'll have time for questions at the end too, if not. But Sharon, there's a question in the chat. How do you get involved as a mentor?
Great. So yeah, we have on our website, which we'll show you in a few slides, we have a application there, and you can apply as a mentor anytime. It's a rolling application, it's just open. And when we go to staff our expeditions, we will go and look there and try to do some matchmaking with mentors and expeditions.
Great. Well, anything else before we move on? Okay, well, Sharon mentioned in the introduction that STEMSEAS is almost 10 years old now, and it was already a great PI team with Sharon and our colleague shown there, John Lewis. But I had the pleasure of formally joining as a principal investigator on our most recent NSF grant, and so did Chandrika Burrell, who's also shown there. So with a 4-person PI team that really represents the range of universities, including a historically Black college, a research one that includes a museum where I am, it just really brings the ability to further reach students as well as mentors. We've intentionalized more of our advertising and social media presence. One benefit that I'll further highlight with a larger and more diverse PI team is we've really connected with instructors at a range of universities and supported professional development in ways that allows us to sometimes have workshops and professional development at sea. So really giving professors an opportunity to see what experiences at sea are like for individuals that participate in STEMSEAS. And that's really increased our ability to broaden our participation base for recruiting. So we're really excited about that. And I'll further highlight in the next few minutes the ways in which we've used our student alumni to really help us spread the word and share their excitement about STEMSEAS, and ways in which it's really helped their careers in many cases. So building partnerships, really thinking forward with STEMSEAS has allowed us to really reach out in ways that are more effective and long lasting. And in the next slide are some examples of how we do this. And so we include different kinds of, again, individuals that are now a core part of STEMSEAS. And so, Sharon, if you're able to go to the next slide, there's an example of a
Yeah, I'm trying
professional.
to.
Okay, I know
It's
these
not,
slides. Okay.
hold on a second. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. So several years ago, we started prioritizing some expeditions just for instructors. So we'll talk a bit more about the schedule that's typical each year for STEMSEAS. And in some of the cruises that we're able to do, we designate them for faculty. We had one with instructors from historically Black colleges and universities. In an alternating year, we focused on the community college faculty, so two YCs, and it's just benefited STEMSEAS in so many ways that have even gone beyond, what our initial intentions were. And most importantly, it's increased the number of applicants that we get from the two-year colleges, and we continue to be reminded what an important pool that is, not just for STEMSEAS, but in geoscience in general. So many student pathways often start at two-year community colleges. And so this slide highlights a recent article in AGU EOS magazine. So out last year, some of the community college faculty that were part of one of these expeditions led this article that really highlighted many of the benefits and the sense of empowerment that they gained by participating in STEMSEAS. And really growing the instructor pool feeds into the mentor pool, which helps us recruit, more and more diverse students. So it is just a win-win for all. And in the next slide, we've got some additional examples of how STEMSEAS has continued to grow. So we now have an alumni advisory committee. So the individuals that you see in this slide have participated either in STEMSEAS or partner programs in terms of on other ships that might take place, like the JR Academy. And the years there that you see are the years they initially participated with us. And as Sharon said, although Alondra, there shown on the left, couldn't join us today, she's been such an ongoing inspiration for us in this program, as well as the other alumni, just seeing all of the things that they're able to do with their degrees, the way that they continue to invest time with STEMSEAS to help recruit, profile, present at meetings, and Alondra now is teaching at an elementary school in southern Louisiana. If we go to the next slide, we have additional ways that we've upped our game, if you will. So my team here at the Museum of Paleontology at UC Berkeley, so we helped redesign the STEMSEAS website. And so you can always find information there. Students blog, highlight, share in real time each of the expeditions that they're on. So we keep people informed of what's happening, what kinds of things, exercises, and things students are learning on each ship, and when the application period opens up, this certainly is the place to go. And so we'll talk a little bit more about when we expect that to be. So again, just go to the STEMSEAS website for more information. The Alumni Advisory Board helps us continue to keep in touch with our alumni, and professional conferences are places where We typically do that. So we've been fortunate over the years to have booths at conferences, from the Geological Society of America meetings to SACNAS to American Geophysical Union meeting, funding students to attend the conference. Many present posters, highlight their experiences as STEMSEAS participants. We also now have newsletters that come out quarterly. We're excited, as we have shared with you, how much it means to us to present this webinar. And we also organize other kinds of opportunities to highlight and share what is going on. So we hope that you continue to stay tuned with us. And more publications, more in the news highlights. We've really valued when the universities and colleges where our participants are students will sometimes highlight STEMSEAS for us. So again, that's more and additional ways to reach audiences and share our excitement about the STEMSEAS program and the kind of difference that seagoing opportunities can really make in the instructional student career for our participants. So we continue to try to highlight this in these publications, as well as when we go to conferences. And let's see, I believe there's an additional slide that also illustrates ways in which now, in this new direction of STEMSEAS, we're able to really focus some expeditions on certain workforce tasks. So I was part of an early, or this year, so in February, a STEMSEAS expedition that focused on marine tech opportunities. So many of the individuals that staff these ships are folks that, for their careers, they really focus on the kind of technology support that's required when research vessels go to sea. And we found that over the years, many of our students express interest in learning more about that. So the opportunity to really take advantage of the knowledge that the crew provides when we're sailing is just a wonderful way to learn, specific to that sort of career skill. Also, earlier this year, there was a cruise where the focus was on cybersecurity, or cyber infrastructure. And so, again, really thinking about opportunities to build a whole range of skill sets in conjunction with the STEMSEAS program has been an added benefit for us. Okay, and let's see, Sharon, are you taking this slide now? And I'll see if there may be a question here in the chat. So thank you for asking about the deadline for future applicants. So we don't have the schedule up for 2026. We're expecting it to be there in early mid-November, and usually the deadlines are around the same each year. So it'd be January, February 2026, right, Sharon? Most likely for 2026.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll talk about that on the next slide, actually. Yeah. So thank you, Lisa. A couple of other things that are new to STEMSEAS in the last year or so is that we are trying to partner with more organizations to leverage what we're doing. So Office of Naval Research, ONR, has often called us up and said, hey, we have an extra berth or two on an expedition that we're sponsoring. Do you have a student who might be interested in going? So we can fill some limited extra berths here and there with students who now have had our program as experience, and they can go and kind of do the next step and be involved in a real science expedition where they are part of the team there. So that's just one example. We've had individuals from the State Department sail with us and from USGS. as just examples of other agencies that have come on board to share with students the kinds of careers that you could have in those areas of the government and different agencies and those kind of things. So those are other partnerships we have. We've worked with Ocean Exploration Trust to use their ship for a couple of expeditions on the Nautilus. So we've done that. We've talked with NOAA about doing that too. It hasn't quite happened yet, but that's in the works. There's a group called MARSAM that provides equipment for sampling the seafloor, and we partner with them to bring on equipment for testing on some of our expeditions. So they get to test it out. We get to do it with our students. It's a win-win for everybody. Everybody gets that experience. Field Safe is a group where we're focusing on just what it says, like safety in field settings. And so we're partnering with them to do some training about safety. Individual PI projects, those might come up where we are going to, like I mentioned at the very beginning, we're going to a particular part of the ocean and we'll talk around with our network and our colleagues and say, does anybody need anything in particular in this area? Maybe we can work with you. Maybe that person could sail with us or maybe not, depends, but we can help them to collect additional data. And we're always open to new ideas. So if this talk is sparking some idea that you think, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could do XYZ while you're out at sea? That's something we can talk about. We're always open to those things. This is just to give you an example of what the schedule looks like. As we mentioned, we don't have the 26 schedule yet, but this is the 2025 schedule that we just completed. So as Lisa mentioned, we did a special marine tech expedition. We did a special expedition that was just for faculty at HBCUs. So in this coming year is going to be faculty at two-year colleges. So that's going to be coming up in 26. We did a special cyber expedition. So that's for students who are interested in the cybersecurity field. And we did two other expeditions, one on Atlantis up to Dutch Harbor in Alaska. And the last one that we just finished a couple weeks ago into the Chesapeake Bay out of Lewis, Delaware. So that's just an example of what the schedule could look like. As we get the schedules for the ships together for 2026, we will post that on our website as soon as we can. Usually we post it right before AGU. So, the end of November, beginning of December. So how to get involved. We know that's a really important aspect of this webinar. So as we've mentioned, STEMSEAS.org, that's our website. That's where we post our deadlines, our applications are up there, blogs from the expeditions, the alumni council, how to get in touch with any of us, all of those things. So you can always go there. We also have social media where we will also try to get the word out about things when we open up our schedule and when other opportunities are coming up. So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on X, Twitter, we're on LinkedIn. And so, come there, take a look, join us. We're always trying to post new opportunities. 2026 schedule, hopefully end of November. The applications will open then. And then the deadline will probably be sometime in February. You'll take a look at that. If you're interested in being a mentor, that application is just always open, and we just have a pool, and then we will go into the pool and when we start staffing our expeditions and try to matchmake with what part of the ocean it might make sense, what are the other people that might be interested. We always try to scaffold our mentors so that new mentors are sailing with experienced mentors, and then those new mentors eventually can then roll up to become senior and leader mentors. So, it's always rolling. And so if you're going to be a new mentor with us, don't worry, you won't be doing it alone. The mentor team is at least 3 people. So you'll be doing that together with other people. And we do have a new newsletter that we'll be putting a link onto our website soon, or that you can sign up to be receiving it if you would like to. It comes out every month, and that was an initiative of our alumni council. They really wanted to do that, so they are the ones who are putting it together, which is really great for us to have. So we wanted to end with a couple of, at least to end the formal presentation, and we'll be happy to have discussion. But with just going over the values that we try to lead our program with, which are respect and flexibility. Things are always changing on ships constantly, all the time. So we want everybody to know that the plan we make at the beginning is going to change every day. Gratitude, we're always immensely grateful for being able to use the ships and work with our ship operators to make these opportunities available for students. Curiosity and open minds, that's the central thing about science, right? So you got to be curious and think carefully about the data that you're collecting. What is it telling you? Is it something that you, is it different from what you thought it was going to be? So that's always important. Also open mind in terms of meeting different people. We have students that come from all different backgrounds, as we mentioned, and the crew and the other staff that are on the ship. So, being open to that and the relationships that people make across those groups have been really amazing and lasting for so many people. And then, of course, kindness and humility that we all are trying to manifest throughout the program all the time. We do, of course, want to acknowledge that all of this is supported by National Science Foundation. So this is your taxpayer dollars. We are very fortunate to be funded by NSF. And that's been a great support for the past 10 years already. And if you want to be in touch directly with either Lisa or myself, those are our email addresses there. And you don't have to memorize them. They're also on the website as well. So I'm going to stop sharing so that we can see everybody. And then we are open for questions and discussion about anything related to the program that you would like to ask about.
And Sharon, we have some of our STEMSEAS instructors with us. So Waverly
Oh, hi, Waverly.
has already answered a question that often comes up quite a bit, everyone, about the cost. And it's very little cost to students because of our NSF grant, pretty much pays for everything. The students often have some out-of-pocket expenses here and there. I mean, obviously, if you are buying souvenirs, import, or gifts for people, but if students have come out of pocket for some travel, it's reimbursed. But yeah, it's really a wonderful program, and we're grateful to our funders for that. It was a question, Sharon, you probably see about the different types of majors that are included.
Right. Yeah, so anybody can apply. And we sail people of all different majors. So you don't have to be a geoscience major. We try to make our cohorts pretty diverse in that way. So there'll be, as I mentioned earlier, there'll be a few geoscience specific, students on every expedition, but there will be others as well. So we often mention people should be STEM curious. So you should at least have some interest in STEM, even if you are a history major or an English major or an art major or whatever it is. But you should have some interest in learning about STEM because it is a STEM experience. But you don't have to be a STEM major to sail. Hope that answers your question.
Right, and I'll just add that it truly can be a transformative experience for a student in any major. The opportunity to go out to sea, to be on a research vessel, to experience science in this way. And because we're just really trying to build awareness about seagoing research, climate change, STEM education, we're just as enthusiastic about sailing students who may not be STEM majors or, as Sharon said, STEM curious, or who just want to learn more about other careers, and hopefully will then be more informed as a citizen about the importance of science.
Yeah. International students eligible to mentor, only if they are associated with a U.S. institution. So if you are at a U.S. institution, then you could be considered as a mentor. Application, how many applications you get each year? We get a lot more applications than we have spots for. So it is competitive. I'm not going to say exact numbers, but it definitely is competitive. We don't have as many spots as we would like. We would love to have more.
We do keep students in the pool, recognizing that we can't accommodate everyone, all the applicants, obviously each year. But we do have several more years of funding, so we'll roll over applications and consider students who may have applied a year before.
There is no diving certification, and we do not want you to be swimming. We hope that you stay on the boat and not in the water. Sometimes there's swimming before or after the expedition. If you end at a beach, sort of area, like we've ended in San Diego a few times, that kind of thing. But in general, the work that you're doing from the ship, you should not be in the water itself. Doing an instrument, we're putting instruments overboard and collecting data and that kind of thing, but humans are not going into the water.
And that's what's great about these research vessels. We let them do all the work. We let the instruments do all the work. Now, we benefited from, as Sharon mentioned, going out with Ocean Exploration Trust and their ship, the Nautilus, which has a number of ROVs, and some of the academic fleet vessels that we sail on, like the Armstrong, also carry remotely operated vehicles that are deployed and bring back sometimes uh, samples of animals from the seafloor, but it's the images that they're able to take that we can often watch in real time, what's going on the seafloor. So there's clearly a range of different ways we engage in seagoing science with all the modern instruments we have. But no, you don't have to have any certifications to participate.
We do not have college credits, but we do have, we are now handing out or giving out certificates of completion for every expedition, for every student, that say the number of hours of what you did and the kinds of skills that you were getting on board. So you can use that at your individual institution to try to get some independent study credits and that kind of thing. So that's where we've done with that. So that's where we've landed with that. Amount of how often is there time for a brief study? So yeah, most of the time there is. That's we do on most of our expeditions, we do stop and collect data using CTDs and net tows and rock dredges and all those kind of things that you Eric mentioned there. So that is something that happens most of the time. Yeah.
Right. And in terms of requirements, well, enthusiasm, we are big on that. But student has to be at least 18 years of age and enrolled at the time of application, or admitted to a college or university. And is, again, we mentioned we see applications from students of all majors, and we just, read and look at the kinds of support letters too that come, that speak to the sort of uniqueness, of applicants and what sort of is driving their interest in applying. With this version of STEMSEAS, we've really tried to elevate science communication and, asking and expecting students to post-cruise have a sort of plan for how to share their experience with others, and the additional ways that we're on social media and with the newsletter and blogs and even participating in conferences gets student experience with science communication. But there's no one thing we look for in an applicant. We're very much open to all of the strengths that, individual students bring to their applications.
Right. Do students get required to work the vessel as a crew member or a deckhand? No, not really. It's not really a program where you're learning about how to run the ship as a crew member, although you can interact, you can interact with the crew members and learn about their jobs and how they do it, but you're not required to do any of that kind of work. If you are interested in that, and if going on this program gets you more interested in that, then there's other programs where you can do more along those lines. But most of what we're doing is the science research piece. Certainly all the crew and the technicians and everybody work together to make that happen. So we do, talk and interact with everybody and learn about what they're doing. But you're certainly not required to help run the ship, if that's what you're asking there.
Great. Questions about effective mentor skills. Typically, our mentors have sailed at least once, not always with us, but have been on a research or vessel of some type, and they are more typically in a career pathway that's earth or ocean science. And Sharon, the question about the international or so the citizen requirements for.
Yeah, students should be citizens or permanent residents, like green card holders, that kind of thing.
But mentors, I think, well, I know some instructors sometimes have not always been U.S. citizens, right?
Right.
So some of this is coming from the U.S. National Science Foundation, requirements that funding is expected to support.
Right. Another thing I might add to the qualities for an effective senior mentor would be just somebody who really wants to work with undergraduates. That's a passion of yours. Because when you're going on these expeditions, the mentors are they're showcasing what they do and what they are passionate about in terms of science, but you're not going to be collecting a lot of data. The primary goal of being a mentor on STEMSEAS is to be showing undergraduate students all the cool science that can be done. And so it's not a deep research experience. It's more of a sampler kind of thing. So the idea is to have mentors who are excited about teaching and about sharing what they do and sharing what other people do and sort of pulling all that together in creative ways, and also being really flexible as well, because the plans, as we mentioned, on ships, they often change depending on the weather, depending on how many people are seasick, depending on what else is happening around. So you have to be really flexible as well to be a good mentor. Highlights in terms of data collected. Trying to think of what that might be. I don't know about, particular details about the data collected, but some of the different experiences that students have had while collecting data has been interesting, so being able to, sometimes the students and the mentors have worked together to decide what they were going to collect, like they had a little extra time and they thought, okay, well, what can we do now? And sort of putting together their own research plan. That's been really a cool thing to happen. We had a sort of humanitarian mission happen once when there were all those fires in Maui. We had an expedition going out in Hawaii, and they were able to divert to deliver some generators that were needed there because there was a lot of power out. So they were able to divert the ship to deliver some generators. And so the students were all a part of that. And that was really a cool experience for everybody to say, like, okay, this is something where we can help because we happen to be in this area, even though it's not our main mission, so that was really cool. We have partnered with a group that puts gliders out into the water, sea gliders, where they get deployed into the ocean and then they float around and collect data, and you can watch them, watch the data on all these partner websites. And so those are other, types of data that students have done. And there was one where they worked with an 8th grade classroom where they had designed the glider, and then our students deployed it, and they were able to talk to them. So the college students were talking to the 8th grade classroom back on land, and that was a really cool experience as well. So there's been a lot of things like that that have happened over the years that has been uh, exciting to see.
And although we don't always do plankton toes or dredge for bottom samples or bottom water organisms, when we do, that's often exciting when you can see, some of the creatures that live in the water column or on the seafloor and have a chance to um, gain a little bit more information about them. And of course, it's always a good day when you see some marine mammals, and every once in a while on these expeditions, you'll get a pod of dolphins that go by. So, and they're not typically the focus of the expedition, but it just rounds out, the whole experience. And I see a question there about the range of science topics and targets, um, and Sharon, of course, can add to this as well. But often it depends on what the expedition goals might be with that vessel. And many times the vessel is repositioning or moving between ports and may not have a full science party. And so that's one of the reasons why we're able to staff it, with STEMSEAS participants. But there often is a goal that might involve testing out certain instruments or collecting some data along the way. So that's part of the excitement too about the schedule. Cruises every year is they're all just a little different, of course, in different parts of the ocean with a range of goals. But we also, as PIs and as instructors, we often sail in the groups of professors and instructors that we sail with. We really value opportunities to bring our expertise also on board. And so there typically are introductions to oceanography and plate tectonics and basic understanding of ocean currents and marine creatures. So it's kind of a range.
Yeah, we bring geologists on board, biological oceanographers, chemical oceanographers, um, uh, people who study DNA from, there's a huge range of different types of science that we can include on these expeditions. So if it's something that you're passionate about and you can think of ways to share it with students, then we're interested in talking to you about it. Engineering, we've also had.
Right.
Yeah.
These have been great questions, and we still have a few more minutes or 5 more minutes. So if there's any more, please put them in the chat.
I do want to add that the application we've intentionally made the application pretty simple and straightforward because we want people to be able to apply without a lot of barriers. So when it does open up for next year, you'll see, but it is not a terribly onerous application for students.
And what, 1 or 2 letters, Sharon, of recommendation are required?
Just one. Yeah.
And related to the question about what sort of science or data collection or themes, we highlighted during our presentation that we do sometimes have, a specified sort of uh, theme, or opportunity for particular crews. This year we had cyber infrastructure slash cybersecurity. We had marine technology as one. And so we could have additional kinds of themes where there's a clear focus for that particular expedition. So it just depends on what some of the ships we have access to might be doing. So that's part of our coordinating efforts after we receive the schedule, is communicating with the ship operators and the chief scientists what might be the particular goal.
Right. But I do also want to emphasize, so people are clear, that the STEMSEAS expeditions are not, they're not deep research experiences. They're sampler experiences. So the idea is that you get your feet wet in a bunch of different things, a bunch of different types of science, a bunch of different types of careers, and you can experience all of those different things. It's not going to be super deep. It's just on the surface to get exposure to all these different things. And then that hopefully will help you to figure out what direction you might want to go in next. So that's really important for people to understand. Sometimes people will say to us, oh, I expected it to be like a whole big research internship, but that's not what this is. This is a chance for you to explore. It's an exploratory program. And then that should help you for your next step. And we have our community of alumni where we are helping people with their next step, whether it's back out to sea or connecting with another scientist, and we'll help you to make those next connections. But the STEMSEAS expedition itself is going to be an exploratory program.
Right.
Any other questions?
I do have a little outro that I can give, and then in case anyone has questions, we can give those another go. I'm sending the evaluation survey in the chat, and that will be for this webinar, but also if you want to get an email just saying that you had attended this webinar, you'll get to that survey through this survey. Otherwise, thank you so much, Lisa and Sharon, for the webinar today. I feel like I learned a lot about STEMSEAS. I also didn't know about it before this, and I'm very glad to be able to share it with all the other undergrads and other undergrads, as if I'm an undergrad, I am not. With undergrads in my life. So thank you all, and thank you everyone for joining. You'll be able to, as I said before, we record these sessions, so you'll be able to find the recording and the captions, and then also possibly the slides if Sharon and Lisa are okay with sharing those on the website. And I'll send out an email to everyone who registered with those. And keep an eye out for our next webinar. I don't know when it'll be yet, but hopefully soon. It'll be great to see you all there.